Here's why all of my pistols are 9mm and why I think that's the best choice for myself and probably for you. Hey there, Caleb here, the founder of Patriot Training Center, and today I want to talk about why all of my pistols are 9mm and why I think that's the best choice for you. Actually, I take that back, not all of my pistols, but the vast majority of all my guns, all my pistols are 9mm. I was doing some dry fire this morning, of course, with my unloaded gun, and I got to thinking about this and saw some videos on the internet about 45 and 40 caliber, and I just didn't think the caliber debate thing was still a thing, but I guess it is. So I wanted to make this quick video to let you know why I choose 9mm for all of my handguns, and I've standardized around that. So I have this Glock 34 here, this SIG P365, also a 9mm, this Glock 17, also a 9mm, and this Shield MMP, also a 9mm. So why is it that I myself have all 9mm handguns, and I'll continue buying those if I buy any other new handguns? It's just simply because 9mm does everything that you need a handgun to do. It is the smallest of the service calibers, which means it has been used in service. It's 9mm NATO, so it's used in militaries around the world and police forces around the world. But it basically performs, as far as terminal ballistics, like what it does to a human being, if we're talking about stopping people like that, it performs the exact same as 40 Smith & Wesson and 45 ACP. It just happens that 9mm has some benefits over those other rounds in the current day and age that we're in. Number one, 9mm is typically pretty easy to find because, like I said, 9mm NATO, it's used in tons of militaries all around the world, so it's typically cheaper and pretty easy to find. So it's easy to stockpile, it's easy to buy a whole bunch, and just because it has smaller components than obviously 40 or 45, I think there's less cost to manufacture it, so that's probably why the price is pretty cheap. So it is basically cheaper all the time. I will add a caveat that some people have said during some ammo crises, they've had 40 caliber or 45 ACP, and they're able to find these kind of less popular calibers because everybody's going for the more popular ones. So in a scenario where you're stockpiling for the apocalypse, I think that may be like a scenario where, hey, it's worth having a 40 caliber if you can get ammo for it or something like that. So that may be a scenario, but for me, I think it's stack it deep while it's cheap and just buy 9mm all the time so that you don't run into those ammo crises unprepared. The other thing about 9mm is because it is not as big as 40 or 45 ACP, it recoils a little less. So is this a big deal? Probably not. If you can shoot pretty good, you can shoot all of those calibers pretty good, and you really won't notice it. I haven't really noticed a lot of difference in recoil, but I think the more that you shoot, and if you put a lot of rounds down range at one time, you will notice the difference between 9 versus 40, for example. The 40 will beat your hands up just a little more. The thing I think is related to that is that it's actually a lot harder on guns. So whether you can feel the recoil or not, there is a lot more pressure and a lot more wear and tear on the gun that is shooting 40 caliber. So like I remember when the Glock 40 calibers first came out, they were like cracking locking blocks a lot sooner, than they normally would in a regular Glock platform. And there's been other competition shooters that have reported their competition 40 caliber guns, they break stuff on them a lot quicker than shooting, 9mm guns. And competition shooters are a pretty good sample size of people that talk about that type of stuff because they typically shoot like 10,000 or more rounds per year. So they have a pretty good idea of like what breaks on a handgun and what doesn't. So 40 caliber, again, higher recoil, a little harder to shoot, maybe not relevant, but definitely harder on the guns and wear and tear and stuff like that. And when you compare it to the price, now you're paying more to put your gun through a lot more abuse. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And then kind of this is a really big one. I think most people don't think about 9mm compared to 40 caliber or 45 ACP, especially, is a smaller bullet, so you can fit more of those into a magazine, so you have a higher capacity in the magazine of the handgun. So higher capacity is always a good thing. Criminals sometimes work in pairs. Sometimes you can be assaulted by more than one person. That's a very common thing. So I think just more bullets is more better. So if you have more bullets in your handgun and you can carry the same basic size handgun, but you can have more bullets, especially if all of those bullets are performing the same way terminally, like as far as stopping a threat, right? So if a 45 ACP, just one shot won't make them explode and stop them dead right there, then if it's basically having the same terminal ballistic performance, then you might as well just have more rounds of ammunition in your gun and on your person than you could carry with 40 or 45. So it just makes more sense to have 9mm and to just carry more rounds if you can. And no matter what, it really doesn't matter what caliber gun you shoot, what caliber handgun you shoot, if you can't shoot it very well. So that's why we have not just live pistol training classes, but we also have a free dry fire program for you and your handgun. Down in the description below, you can click that link. Go check it out. It only takes 10 minutes a day, and in about 30 days, you'll be a much better pistol shooter. I guarantee it, whether you're shooting 9mm, 40, or 45.